Hey there, pirates. Welcome aboard the Anime No Me channel. Shanks wanted Dragon's son to be the sun god, and we only found out because of One Piece chapter 1160. I'm going to show you why now. I hope for your support to help our crew win, and to do so, you just need to click the thumbs up button, leave a like, and subscribe to the channel. By doing this, you will win an incredible devil fruit, so just comment which fruit you want. Guys, in chapter 1160, the God Valley incident, Oda drops a bomb that redefines everything. Dragon, still young and a scruffy beginner, rescues Shanks and his brother Shamrock from the chaos of the island, begged by the red-haired mother to protect their future. This scene, in the middle of the Celestial Dragon's sadistic hunting game, where slaves like Kuma, from the Buccaneer race revealed there, become prey, shows Dragon shooting a noble to save Kuma and fleeing with the red-haired babies. While the Rocks Pirates, Roger Pirates, and Garp turn God Valley into hell, Dragon carries Shanks and Shamrock, dodging attacks from the God Knights, including a horned Yeti that looks like it came out of a mythological nightmare. Think about the intensity. Dragon, sweaty and determined, running with the babies, while the red-haired mother is betrayed by Garling Figureland. In chapter 1096, Roger finds Shanks in a floating chest, but now we know Dragon hid him there to escape the massacre. This connection from birth explains why Shanks, years later, sees in Luffy, Dragon's son, the potential to be Nika, the sun god of freedom. Chapter 1044. Shanks, raised in the chaos of God Valley, knows that Dragon represents a resistance against the Celestial Dragons. He wants his son Luffy to become the savior he himself could not be. In chapter 1, Shanks gives Luffy the hat with a look that now screams, "You're going to be the sun god who frees the world, kid!" Shanks, saved by Dragon, swears silent loyalty, seeing Luffy as Nika's heir ever since he heard about his birth. In chapter 134, Shanks stops the Marineford War, perhaps knowing that Luffy, the son of his savior, needs to survive to awaken Gear 5, chapter 1045. God Valley isn't just a massacre, it's the cradle where Shanks decides that Dragon's son will be the god to overthrow Imu and the false gods, chapter 1085. Shamrock, the lost brother, may be the dark counterpart, captured by the God Knights and becoming an obstacle, but Shanks focuses on Luffy as the sunlight. Shanks is not just a Yonko. He is a visionary who saw the sun god in Luffy since Dragon's rescue in chapter 1160. Raised on the Oro Jackson, after Roger found him in the chest, chapter 1096, Shanks carries the trauma of God Valley, the mother betrayed by Garling, the celestial dragons hunting innocents like animals, Dragon's heroic act, shooting a noble to save Kuma and fleeing with the babies, instills in Shanks the belief that true heroes come from lineages like dragons. In chapter 967, Shanks hears Roger laughing in Laugh Tale about Joy Boy, the original Nika user. What if he connected that to his savior's son? In chapter 1, Shanks loses his arm to save Luffy from a Sea King, but now we see it as a test. He wants to see if the boy has Nika's spirit, the god who laughs at oppression, chapter 1044. Shanks knows that Dragon, the revolutionary, chapter 100, saving Luffy in Logtown, fights the system that destroyed God Valley. He bets that Luffy with D-Blood will awaken the sun god to complete the revolution. In chapter 1054, Shanks intimidates Green Bull with Supreme Haki, echoing Dragon's power, suggesting he learned from him during years in hiding after the rescue. The theory says Shanks, grateful to Dragon, vows to guide Luffy to be Nika, the liberator who overthrows Emu. Chapter 1085. Shamrock, rescued but perhaps separated in the chaos, maybe captured by the God Knights as fans speculate, becomes the dark brother that Shanks leaves behind, focusing on Luffy as the chosen one. In chapter 434, Shanks warns Buggy about special origins, his own, tied to Dragon. This vision shapes Shanks as a mentor. He doesn't want the One Piece for himself, chapter 1079, but for Dragon's son to become the sun god who frees the oppressed from God Valley. Oda spreads clues like buried treasure. In chapter 100, Dragon saves Luffy with mysterious winds. And what if Shanks, rescued by him in God Valley, chapter 1160, was the link? In chapter 580, after Marineford, Shanks stops the war and takes Ace's hat, honoring the D legacy, perhaps knowing that Luffy, the adoptive brother via Dragon, needs to survive. In chapter 967, Shanks hears about Joy Boy and Laugh Tale. Years later, in chapter 1044, Luffy awakens Nika. Shanks had been betting on this since he saw the potential. In chapter 1059, Shanks mentions old friends, Dragon. The connection from birth explains why Shanks doesn't attack the revolutionaries. Chapter 904, Reverie. The red-haired mother, in 1160, 60, begs for protection. Dragon delivers, and Shanks reciprocates by guiding Luffy to be the sun god who ends hunting games like in God Valley, Chapter 1095. Shamrock, perhaps turned into a manipulated god knight, Chapter 1086, Emu's powers, becomes the counterpoint. Shanks wants Luffy as Nika to save him too. This secret alliance, planted in 1160, connects East Blue to the endgame, with Shanks seeing Luffy as the god who frees even his own lost family. In Chapter 434, Shanks says pirates like him wait for the right one. Luffy, Dragon's son, awakens this in Chapter 1043 with the drums of liberation. Shanks' faith is personal. Saved by Dragon, he shapes his son for a solar destiny. Imagine the climax in Elbaf. Luffy, after a battle with the giants who tell legends of God Valley, finds Shanks and hears the truth. Luffy, Dragon saved me as a baby, raised me like your brother before Roger. I always wanted you to be Nika, the sun god who frees the world. Luffy laughs first. Ha ha ha, Shanks, you're my brother? Then let's celebrate with meat. But the weight falls. The rescue in 1160 united their lives against the celestial dragons, and Shamrock, lost in the chaos, may be an enemy now. In Chapter 576, Ace's death leaves Luffy with a void. Discovering Shanks as an adoptive brother would be a balm. Echoing Sabo, Chapter 672. Imagine the emotion. Luffy and Shanks shoulder to shoulder, facing Emu, Chapter 1085, with Shanks saying, "I've waited for you to become the god dragon dreamed of." This revelation, based on the 1160 rescue, makes Luffy see his dream as a family inheritance, with Dragon as the architect who saved Shanks to guide his son to the solar destiny. Shanks, knowing about the Hito Hito no Mi model Nika, Chapter 1044, protects Luffy since Chapter 1 for him to awaken Gear 5. Shamrock, perhaps corrupted by the God Knights, becomes the villain who tests this god, completing the God Valley cycle. In Chapter 1115, Vegapunk warns that the world is sinking due to ancient wars. Shanks and Luffy as brothers may unite against Imu's national treasure, Chapter 761, linked to God Valley. Shamrock, rescued but lost, emerges as a manipulated God Knight, Chapter 1086, forcing Shanks to choose family. This connection elevates Luffy to leader of an extended D lineage, with Dragon as the savior who planted the Sun God seed. In Chapter 1054, Shanks intimidates Green Bull, perhaps to protect the brother who will become Nika. The theory paints Shanks as a guardian, saved by Dragon to guide Luffy toward the sun. Shanks' wish for Dragon's son to be Nika comes from the rescue in Chapter 1160. Saved by Dragon, he sees in him the opposite of the celestial dragons, and bets that Luffy will inherit this as the Sun God, Chapter 1044. In Chapter 967, Shanks hears about Joy Boy and Laugh Tale. He keeps the secret for Luffy the heir. In Chapter 1, the hat is a vote of confidence. You'll laugh like Nika, brother. In Chapter 434, Shanks warns about the right one, Luffy, who awakens the drums of liberation, Chapter 1043. Shanks, with haki that echoes dragons, trains Luffy indirectly, knowing that the savior's son will become the god who frees God, Valley's oppressed. Shamrock becomes the counterpoint. Lost, he may turn into a false god, like Emu, forcing Shanks to fight for his adoptive brother. In Chapter 1059, Shanks mentions old friends, Dragon, whose rescue shaped his vision. This faith makes Shanks the subtle architect of Luffy's destiny. In Elbaf, Chapter 1120 and beyond, Shanks confronts Luffy with the truth from Chapter 1160. Dragon saved me, and I waited for you to become Nika. Luffy laughs but feels the weight. His Gear 5, Chapter 1045, is the son Shanks saw in him since the rescue. Shamrock appears as an antagonist, captured by the God Knights, forcing a fraternal battle. In Chapter 967, Roger's laughter in Laugh Tale includes a poneglyph about God Valley, confirming that Shanks' wish for Dragon's son to be Nika is prophetic. Think of the climax. Luffy, as the sun god, frees Shamrock, uniting the family against Emu. This theory, from rescue to awakening, makes Shanks the catalyst of Luffy's solar destiny. In Chapter 576, Luffy loses Ace. Discovering Shanks as an adoptive brother fills the void. Echoing Sabo, Chapter 672, Dragon. Shanks' savior in Chapter 1160 becomes the father figure uniting pirates and revolution. In Chapter 1085, Emu's shadow looms. Shanks and Luffy as brothers overthrow the empty throne. Blackbeard rival, Chapter 577, attacks the extended family, raising the stakes. Shanks' desire for Luffy as Nika comes from gratitude to Dragon. Saved as a baby, he guides Dragon's son toward the sun of freedom. Shamrock lost becomes the final test, possibly a god knight that Luffy saves as the sun god. That was today's content. We hope you liked it and want to share your opinion on the subject. Don't forget to share the video, give it a thumbs up, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care and stay amazing.